Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 452 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our fifth book just came out. It's called Perseverance and How to Be a Great Fraternity or Sorority Alumnus. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, not too long ago, about a year ago, we created this book. It's called Using AI to Grow Your Fraternity or Sorority. So we are absolutely advocates of using artificial intelligence in order to grow your student organization. And today we're going to be talking a little bit more about artificial intelligence and how it can help you personally as well as your organization. So I'm really excited. Today on our show is Deb Dutta. She is the CEO of Criya, an artificial intelligence tech startup backed by the prestigious Y Combinator and top-tier VCs. Deb is a female immigrant founder with over 13 years of experience as a successful product executive at PayPal, Microsoft, Hitachi. Deb also holds a master's degree from Carnegie Mellon in computer science. She's been featured on Forbes, TechCrunch, New York Times, CBS. Deb is an established keynote speaker. She is a Forbes contributor and leads the Women in Product chapter. Aside from that, Deb actively mentors women to develop their skills in product management, entrepreneurship, and fundraising. As the CEO of Criya, an AI startup with a mission to shape the future of professional excellence, Deb's vision is to empower every professional to level up their professional presence and collateral with artificial intelligence in 20 seconds with perfectly designed on-brand web pages. Welcome to the show, Deb.
Thank you for having me, Michael. This is so exciting.
Listen, it is an honor to have you on the show. I am just incredibly blown away with your history and what you've accomplished. And so I couldn't think of a better guest on our show for our college student listeners today. And, obviously you're very big into computer science. As an undergraduate major, you chose computer science. You also have your master's degree in computer science from Carnegie Mellon, which is just an outstanding institution in Pittsburgh, PA, of course. So talk about the importance of women in tech and why are you so passionate about this?
So such a great question to start this out with, Michael. So I grew up in India. And today there's a huge tech boom, obviously, but I didn't grow up seeing a lot of women in college. I didn't grow up seeing a lot of women in my first job, my second job, and so on. And it's not for any reason aside from just education and access to it, right? So when I was an undergrad, I was in a class of 60. I was one of 10 women. And that statistic has held true even when I came through to do my master's. And that statistic has held true when I've come through over the years since my first job to then being head of product at PayPal and so on. And I think women bring a huge, there's basically half the world is women. Mm-hmm. Why do we not bring that perspective into building technology that serves half the world? I think that's just the whole perspective that's missing. So I think I'm extremely passionate about how do we encourage more women to enter STEM and pursue jobs so that there's more role models for other women to follow and learn from.
I love that. I love that mission. I think it's absolutely incredible, and you're absolutely right. Women are needed within computer science more, and that perspective is incredibly important. And in addition to working as a software engineer for Microsoft, Nokia, Cisco, you were also the head of product for both Hitachi and PayPal. Can you tell our audience what is a head of product and what are your daily responsibilities like?
Yeah, I'll start with what a product manager is, and then I'll tell you what a head of product is.
Yeah.
A product manager basically sits at the intersection of technology, design, and strategy. So you're kind of sitting at the steering wheel of the car. You're not necessarily creating the wheels. You're not necessarily writing, designing the gearbox and so on. There are people who are experts in doing that. There are people who are experts in designing the look and feel, the shine. There are also experts who will figure out how to price this and so on. What you do is bring the vision together and make sure that the product that you build meets the purpose of a user who needs to actually drive the car, meets the purpose of someone of the company, so that we are actually, making money, and we are being able to be profitable in the business, and we're able to make sure that there is satisfaction as people are using it. So it really is, you're really at the crux of making sure this is successful. And that comes from anywhere from, like, think about Instagram stories. Someone had to come up with the entire vision, not just the button, not just, what does it look like, the fact that it expires in 24 hours, but there's statistics, KPIs associated with it. That's what a product manager does. The head of product's job is essentially to oversee an entire line of products, where you are managing individual product managers alongside their engineering teams, alongside their design teams, and you are kind of partnering alongside even risk, compliance, legal, pricing, marketing, and all of that. So it's a much more overarching role where you're responsible for the success of an end-to-end product along with your teams.
See, that makes perfect sense when you explain it. When I read it on somebody's resume, I'm like, I don't even know what this is. So if you're not in the tech space, you really don't have any idea of what that person does. But now it makes total sense. And so thank you for explaining that. And now, of course, you're the founder and CEO of Kriya. What is this product here that you've developed, and how did this idea come about?
Oh gosh, I love telling the story. So just for context, like you said, Kriya is a Y Combinator and a venture-backed AI tech startup, where we started out by building the AI technology where you can essentially make an impression in 20 seconds with AI. That was my whole perspective. So the core being that, listen, a hiring manager is going to Google you, a customer is going to Google you. Hey, even if you're going on a date, they're going to Google you, right?
Mhm.
So the idea being that usually people don't, we live in a world of short attention span, so you really have 6 to 7 seconds to make an impression. So what we do is, the first thing that you can do with Kriya is simply click on the generate button, and in 20 seconds, answer a couple of questions. 20 seconds, we spit up an entirely beautiful looking personal brand website that you can take away right away. And the objective is, it's not just a website, right? It's a highlighting of your portfolio, your resume, maybe the projects you've done, the volunteer work you're doing, the student body associations you're a part of. Because end of the day, when you're being hired, you want to stand out, you want to be different from hundreds of your peers. And you actually are. You just need to be able to communicate it. That's what we do. And we take this a step further. Students that we work with are like, can we do more, right? Like, the AI is built and the design is built in a way where you can take it further, where you can create your first portfolio page, you can create your project reports, pitch decks. We have some PhD students who are using this to pitch to, like, conferences. So you can use this to develop any kind of collateral, but we start out with making sure that you have a personal brand that a hiring manager can look into.
I absolutely love your product. I can't say enough good things about it. And I have so many ideas too, because you and I are serial entrepreneurs. So we can't stop ourselves from thinking about ways to make money in tech. But all of that being said, I am always talking to college students about creating a LinkedIn account. I know that Kriya uses LinkedIn in order to get the source of some of that data to build out that web page on using AI. And not enough students are on LinkedIn, and I keep telling them, I'm like, you absolutely must have a profile on LinkedIn with a photo, with all of your keywords. And I also encourage them to post it, at least like once a week, just about the projects that they are currently doing in college, so that way they are starting to attract potential employers, and they can position themselves as a leader within that niche, whatever that niche is. So, for example, my son is a data science freshman student in college. And so I encouraged him to build a LinkedIn account, which he did, and then just talk about, his data science project that he's busy working on, trying to wrap up the semester. And sure enough, as soon as he built this LinkedIn profile, the head of the Data Science Institute at his institution, liked his post. And then he ended
Right.
up getting an internship working for the Data Science Institute. I mean, it was
Wow.
really, as a freshman, okay? I mean, as a freshman, he already has a paid internship. So, this really, really works. And I really hope that our students, I know that, you have a great opportunity for them to get plugged in with Kriya as well during this interview, and you have a discount code for them, which I think is amazing. But I really want them to use it, because I think that, getting found on Google, you're absolutely right. Employers, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to Google your name, and they're going to see what comes up. So what comes up should be A, your LinkedIn profile, and B, your page that hopefully you're creating with Kriya, because then you have the opportunity to really kind of stand out from your competitors. And that's exactly what I think your product enables them to do.
Absolutely. I couldn't emphasize more. I think the point is we live in a world of high competition. I think with information flow coming easily to all of us, everybody is awesome. I think that's the truth.
Yeah.
So even recruiters today are overwhelmed with the number of great resumes that they're seeing. Help them choose you, right? Like that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It's the right product at the right time. And you were able to raise over $5 million in VC funding. So tell our audience, if they have some big idea for a product or a service, what do investors look for?
Really, at the early stages, what an investor is looking for is you. You hear this concept called product market fit, that comes at a later stage. Early days, they're looking for founder market fit, which means they're really looking to do one thing. Do you have the potential? They're not looking for the skills, they're not looking for successes yet. They're really looking for, do you have the potential to build on an idea and solve a really important problem that is close to your heart? So you should show extreme passion for what you are trying to solve. Second thing is they are interested in making sure that you have the resiliency. You're not just doing this, I'll give it a shot and see what happens. Everything about a startup is you're going to see a lot of rejections. You're going to see a lot of things that you went in with, but oh, it didn't work out. That's okay. And investors understand that. Everybody actually understands that. You need to understand that too, and make sure that you don't quit too early. These are really the two main things that investors are looking for. Proving that you have the hustle and proving that you are willing to work on an idea that you're passionate about. So demonstrating passion. That's really the key. That's it. That's all I would focus on.
Well, you certainly have both of those in spades, so I understand why you got the $5 million in VC funding. You've got it. Why is having a personal brand and having a website, in your words, why do you think that is so important for college students and their careers? And I know you also work with college athletes to showcase their accomplishments as well. Why should college students even care about a personal brand and having a website?
So this is not even my words. This is a true statistic, guys. So like I think Forbes mentions this, that 56% of decision makers, typically hiring managers, are more impressed by candidates who have personal websites more than any other personal branding tool. And yet only 7% of candidates actually have them. So already that 7% has a leg up. So this is a no-brainer. If anything, like if it takes you a few seconds to put something together, and this is yours for life. As you build on your career, you have every project you do, every competition you win, every internship you complete, just add it, and this just continues to build for life. Why not? I think this is, like I said, the whole idea is you don't want opportunities. You've worked so hard to build your career, to build your portfolio. All you have to do is put it together so that a decision maker sees it. That's really the point here. So make sure that you are standing out from the competition, because if it's only 7%, if you are part of that 7%, you already have a leg up.
That is a great statistic, and you're absolutely right. When I am looking to hire somebody, if they have their own website, especially looking at those college students, that you need to have a leg up because it's very competitive right now in terms of jobs and careers. Why not be a part of that 7%? Why not stand out? It's so easy to do. It'll literally take you 20 seconds with Kriya. Like there's no excuse because it's so quick to do it. And I also want to talk about higher education. And you and I both know there's a lot of problems with higher education right now. I'm watching the news just in disbelief at what's happening at some of the Ivy League schools and some of the top schools in the country right now. But all of that being said, I think the other issue that I find with higher ed is that they seem to be very hesitant to embrace artificial intelligence technology. And in my opinion, and again, I don't want to sway your opinion, but in my opinion, I believe that that's a crime to keep artificial intelligence out of the hands of college students, because this is the future, whether we want it to be or not. This is the future. And employers expect that their employees are going to understand how to use ChatGPT and the various competitors that are out there for ChatGPT. So if you don't know how to use these tools in order to do your work more efficiently, I feel like you're behind the curve and you're less likely to be hired by an employer. So what do you say to those within higher education that are hesitant to embrace this AI technology?
Great question. So I think let's start with why there's possible hesitation, right? I think it's about addressing that root problem. And I think there's several reasons. One is a big part of like how AI has just become part of every language, like every talk is about AI. So it could be that, oh, are we perceiving this as just another fad, right? Like it's just a temporary phase, it's going to go away and so on. One thing I want to clarify here is think of mobile, like a decade ago, mobile was that. And many people resisted, jumping on mobile, whether that's actually building phones or whether that's using phones for like apps and things like that, right? And a lot of people did resist it. But mobile is here to stay, and it is evident, the industries have been developed just based on the mobile revolution. AI is that for the next decade. So one is recognizing that this is not one of those temporary opportunities that is going to come and go. The second part of this is AI has different places where I do understand where hesitation comes from. There's data privacy issues, security, privacy concerns, and so on. I think it's important about recognizing how you can leverage AI to get ahead for your own self while maintaining ethical standards. So, especially as a college student, one of the most practical uses of AI is content creation, whether that's written or that's visual. There are other applications of AI, such as where it's kind of mining through existing data, looking through like maybe information that's sensitive and recommendations and so on. That's not something that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the generative AI, right? ChatGPT, and what that has brought about is ability to create content. We live in a world where half the conversations happen on Zoom and they're not happening in person. Your ability to succinctly articulate what you want to convey and in an attractive way so that it looks visually appealing, this is where AI comes in. So I think it's really important to remove that hesitation and choose the path so that you are getting ahead, because otherwise your competition is going to get ahead of you. Something that AI is doing today is if you were to develop an email that is significantly better written and communicates what you do, and that person gets picked versus someone else just because they didn't write that email well, who's to blame, right? So use that tool. I think that's how I would envision it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And your product, Kriya, certainly helps students, athletes, professionals to get a leg up on their competition. I also think part of this equation here, in terms of getting a leg up and ultimately getting the job or the career that you want, I think it's about growing your network. And that's the real value to higher education, is that you are enabled, to essentially grow your network beyond what it currently is. And ultimately, that's how great product ideas come about. That's how great partnerships come about. That is how, you get hired. That's how you get internships. It's by growing that network. So if you were giving advice to a college student who is listening right now, how can they grow their network?
Great question again. There's two ways I would think about your network. One is your online network, and then one is your offline network. I'll start with the online network. It starts by having an online presence. So I think starting by building out your LinkedIn profile is something that's super important. And of course, making sure that you post more regularly, because what that does is it will attract like-minded people. Just like you said, Michael, if you're posting about your work in data science, it's going to attract people who are in the data science spectrum. And who knew? You may think that your network is maybe other students, but now your son has a network of someone who's in an administrative capacity, who's able to actually make opportunities happen. Mm-hmm. So that's the power of online network. You don't even need to be in the same room or the same city to be able to develop those connections. Another possible way is, like I said, I think there are lots of online communities that you can be a part of. There's student communities, there are specific functional communities that you can be a part of. And like you already know this, as part of like the different societies, you see the value when you're surrounded by people that are, like-minded and so on. So it's the same thing in the online world. In the offline world, I know networking can feel a little demanding, if anything. It's like, what do I do? I walk into a room, maybe it's a career fair, like, where do I start? And we feel that even till this date. I mean, till today, I feel it at my age. So the one like hack that I have is when you're walking into a room, whether it has 100 people or like 5,000 people, my objective is to just have 3 or 4 really valuable conversations, because you're not going to actually walk away with 100 contacts. Let's face it. You're going to walk away with 3 or 4 important contacts that will likely remember you. They'll remember the conversation you had. So when you follow up with them, whether it's an internship, whether it's a project that you want to work on, they will remember you. If you just spend 3 minutes, just handed them your resume or your business card and you walked away, you're going to be one among the 1,000 others that they met. So my recommendation for anyone that's looking to network in the offline and the real world is walk into, like, one is find smaller groups to enter. And when you do, just make sure you have 3 or 4 really important conversations. And then you have a much stronger opportunity of converting them into whatever whatever you're seeking at the end of the experience.
Excellent advice. Really, really good stuff. The other thing that the college students are really struggling with is just time management. They're very busy. They're involved in student organizations. They obviously have their classes, so they have homework and tests to study for. Many of them are having a part-time job so they can make money to pay for the higher cost of higher education. They have relationships, they have sports, they have fitness, they all of these things that they're involved with. So, do you have any advice for college students in terms of time management?
Yes. So I've always been a side hustler, if you may. I've always had side gigs from the very beginning, and it's a good thing, because I think that trait has helped me till today in growing and being able to multitask and like manage different responsibilities. I really think it's important to be structured. And I know it's hard when you're young, you have so many different things that you want to go toward. Just take a step back. And one of the simple things that I do even today is I would wake up, or you could either do it before you go to sleep or like the first thing in the morning when you're having your coffee, is to list out 3 things you want to get done that day. That's it. And there can be other stuff that may be lower priority, maybe, hitting the gym should be number 1, but maybe some of the other things, right? Like health, wellness are super important. Make sure you have a bucket for that. Make sure you have a bucket for like your education, like, and those commitments. And a third can be if it's important to you, if it's, pursuing your side gig or something like that. Everything else should be written down as a lower priority. When you approach it this way and actually practice it, right? You don't feel so bad and you don't feel so overwhelmed that you didn't hit the 7 others that are on your list, because you hit the top 3. And that's it. I think managing your time based on a plan is the best way to go about it.
Love it. Really, really good stuff. The last piece I wanted to talk to you about was just leadership in general. And a lot of these college students, they're pushed into a leadership role in their student organization. And it's really the first time in their lives, and they've had to lead an organization. So, how should college students lead their student organizations if the ultimate goal is success?
I love when students are, in leadership roles from the very beginning of their journey. It teaches you not only to be a leader, it teaches you how to be a team player, how to recognize talent around you, how to share credit. These are all things that are, initially when you become a leader the first time, you're not comfortable with. You don't know how to handle the responsibility of people that are looking up to you to lead. So I think the main thing I would say is you don't have to change. There is no one style of leadership, guys. There are people who are very, very they're people leaders. They almost call it servant leadership, where they encourage their team members or like the associations they're leading to lead the way, and they operate more in a supporting arm. So if you already have key players within your team who are awesome at what they do, encourage them and be the facilitator. Believe me, you're already in the leadership role. No one's going to take it away from you if someone on your team shines. In fact, you show up as a better leader when your own team members shine. So that's the number 1 rule. And the second thing is you're not expected to know and do everything. I think that's the burden a lot of young leaders carry. They need to figure out everything, or they don't show up well, or they're being judged. Nobody expects that of you. Again, lean on your team so that they can support you, so that you're all showing up together effectively. That's really, it's as simple as that.
Beautiful. Very, very nice. Now, you have to know that my weakness is really good food, okay? I go around the country and I eat all the best food when I possibly can as I'm traveling from college campus to college campus. So the next time I'm in my favorite city, which is San Francisco, for anybody paying attention, where should I go for a great meal?
Okay, I may be the only person that will say this, but I love dim sum, and San Francisco is a place for really great dim sum. Happy to send you a few recommendations, but one of my favorites is a small restaurant that's been in the country, been in the city for years now. It's called Kingdom of Dumpling. Definitely visit.
That sounds absolutely delicious. As somebody who was born in New York City, who certainly has had their fair share of dumplings, I will tell you, I miss it greatly. Now I live in Nashville, Tennessee, so I don't get access to the great food that I sometimes crave. But yes, when I get to San Francisco, I will absolutely check that place out, and I'll let you know what I think. There's no question about it. All right,
Okay.
so if our college students have listened to this interview and they want their free website to build their own personal brand, where should they go in order to get started? If you have any discount codes, I think now would be a great time to advertise that. And also, how can they contact you if they want you to speak on their college campus?
Totally. So first, you guys just go to criya.co. That's kriya.co. Think of it like creator, so it's like Kriya, CRIYA.co. And there's a generate button, create in 20 seconds button. Click either of those buttons. It'll straight away take you into just entering your little, information, and it'll generate your site right there for you. Once you log in, it's free to get started. You can absolutely just jump in and get started for free. We do have an upgrade plan where you have a whole bunch of templates that we pre-created with other organizations. So these are best practice templates that we've built in. If you want to upgrade to that tier, here's a discount code for you. It's Fraternity Foodie. Enter the Fraternity Foodie discount code and you get a month off the platform, and it's all yours to use.
That is
And lastly, if
absolutely
you want to get
fantastic.
in touch with me, definitely find me on LinkedIn or just go to deb.kriya.ai. And that's my own account.
That is absolutely perfect. So the website is spelled CRIYA.co. Go there right now. Go and sign up. If you have no money, that's totally fine. You can get a free website in 20 seconds to advertise your personal brand. If you are interested in the paid version where you're going to get access to all kinds of really nice templates that are going to showcase you the right way, you will get a free month off of that service. Just enter in Fraternity Foodie as the code, and you will get a free month off of that service. And I hope that every college student, whether it's a free site or a paid site, I don't really care, but I hope that every college student goes and gets their free website today, because it absolutely is important for you to stand out and be a part of that 7% that stands out from the rest of the crowd when you're looking to compete for jobs, etc. I guarantee you the first thing that employer is going to do, they're going to do a Google search and they're going to see what comes up. And it's really, really important that you take control of that narrative and you make sure that you know what is being put out there about you and what your goals are. So that way it's super clear for that employer what you're all about. And I think between LinkedIn and with this product at Kriya, I absolutely think that you're going to get what you need. So please go and use that service. Highly important for every college student listening. So Deb, what can I say? You are absolutely amazing. I'm a huge fan of what you've built. I'm a huge fan of you. And so I just want to say that I'm proud of all the work that you've done. And I thank you for sharing all of this great information and this great resource with our college students today.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, Michael.
Absolutely. And to all of our college students, if you enjoyed this conversation with Deb, if you enjoy this product that she's been able to build at Kriya.co, I want you to share this with other college students. So what I want you to do is I want you to like this interview on social media, and I want you to share it with other college students that also need their free website, so that way they can set their personal branding apart. You care for your friends, you care for your brothers and sisters, send them this interview and tell them to get their free personalized branding website at Kriya.co. It's spelled CRIYA.co. Go and get your free website today. Fantastic. Deb, this has been amazing. And to our listeners, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please share it, and we'll see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.